I just have to be out of here by 12.
12. All right. Cool.
Hopefully we'll be
finished
That'll
before
be a
then.
long podcast.
yeah.
That'll be a long podcast. Do you reckon we should just try and do it?
Welcome to the Roganverse. Let's go.
Well, we did. If you combine all of fees,
That's true.
that went for like 5 hours, something like that, 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Hey, I'd be fine with that. I need something to listen to. All the time.
The longest singular one is Lose One that we did here.
Yeah.
That's like
It's episode 100?
2 hours and 15 or something. Yeah, episode
That's a
100.
challenge.
Oh yes, welcome back to the Chip Lunch podcast. We've had a interesting start to the day. Hello. Just
Hello.
excuse me. Just wait. Just hold off, please. Yeah, just hide yourself until you're introduced. Thank you. Are we? How are we?
Good. I didn't know if you were talking to me or Ethan was looking.
Well, Ethan
down
was
the
looking.
camera.
Yeah, Ethan was looking at the camera. I didn't know what he
Like-
was doing. Hello, Ethan behind the camera. I've had a weird start to the day.
Yeah. Have you?
Yeah. And what made it worse though? I was telling Ethan this because I picked him up on the way here. I didn't go to sleep till after midnight last night, and before that was Ethan's first reaction was, "For you, that's weird."
That was exactly what I was thinking.
But then the reason I couldn't go to sleep was like, I like to read before I go to sleep. My eyes are tired. I'm like, right, time to go to sleep. Put my book away. Turn the light off. It's all dark. Great. I know I'm drifting off to sleep, and then there is a moth stuck in the blind.
Oh.
So then I have to so we have like 2 sets of blinds on these windows, just so stupid, like a full bulkhead blind and then another like Venetian, whatever they are. Is that what they are? Venetians? Yep.
Sure.
They're from Venice. And I got it out, get back into bed. There's another one, but it's flying differently.
Infestation.
Oh,
of moths
that's
and
what it
gel
felt
cells.
like. Anyway, speaking of moths, welcome, Brandon. You've been in a cocoon for a while.
Have I?
Yeah.
I don't feel like.
I think you're on the last one, actually.
Yeah, I'm like we've had a short break in the interim.
Yes. Just a few guest
Yes.
issues.
Yes. Though I won't be on for a little while. I have college.
No, I
So-
think we might need to get a guest host in
Yes.
because both you and Ethan will be at college for a while.
Yes. Only for term 1 for me. So I'll be
Mm,
back around soon. But
Okay.
unfortunately, that is the way the cookie crumbles.
Mm. The biblical cookie, college cookie. The college cookie crumbles.
I was
There you
thinking,
go.
what movie is that? It's from
It's-
Bruce Almighty or
yes.
Evan Almighty?
It's one with Jim
One of-
Carrey.
Yeah, Bruce Almighty.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got
That's where I
very
get it from.
theologically accurate film. So
'Cause then
that's
he-
why we're quoting it.
Because that's it makes it his line when he's doing the news. Isn't it?
Yeah, he's got the big.
And that's the way the cookie
cookie
crumbles. There you go.
Yeah.
Can't think of a cookie segue for our guest. Do you like cookies?
Yeah, they're all right.
Yeah.
Welcome,
If you-
Jeremy.
what's
I'm
your
nice and
pick?
sweet. I'm crumbly.
Hey, yeah.
What's your pick of biscuit?
Oh,
When, I know we're not a biscuit
Ooh.
podcast.
biscuits before
That's
chips.
the spin-off.
Yep.
I mean, look, I like a good solid chocolate chip biscuit.
Mm.
Like, I don't love it to be too like double or triple or whatever.
Yeah.
When you get like
They love to
the
tell you
cocoa
that,
in
don't
there.
they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just keep it simple.
Mm.
Yeah.
Bit of vanilla in there. It's
Mm.
nice,
Do you like crunchy ones or chewy?
chewy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm undecided on crunchy or chewy.
Crunchy, I like is if you've got some, if you're dipping it in milk or something, then sure.
Because it
Right.
softens it up a bit.
But yeah, but if it's just like
I don't like milk.
you don't like
You
milk,
don't like milk? Why is
Wow.
that?
I had like too many times as a kid where you go and drink the milk because you kid, you just pour your milk, you don't think about anything, and it's chunky milk.
Oh,
I think that happened one too many times, and it's just nah.
yeah, that's fair.
That's yuck.
Mm.
That's no good.
Yeah, that's not good.
So chewy biscuits now because I can't have chunky milk.
Amen.
How interesting. Our childhood experiences shape.
Well, it's just like that thing where you have a certain food in the wrong context.
Environment.
Well, it's like where people get food poisoning from something and then they just can't even
Yeah.
smell that food or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's rough.
I could only eat jelly. I was having a surgery. I can't even remember when, but I could only eat jelly for like a certain period before I went. I can't eat jelly anymore. I can't do
You
it.
ate so much.
Yeah, well, it's just like the only thing I could eat for a while.
Ugh.
I can't eat lasagna anymore. I used to serve lasagna nonstop.
Yeah.
Oh, serving it.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, yeah.
and having to clean it. It's like lasagna is such a fantastic thing until it goes and sat there for like an hour. And then it starts to congeal up and the
Yeah.
cheese starts to have that weird funky smell and
Yeah.
Nah.
no,
That's also, isn't that like that's a YouthWorks lasagna?
that
too,
is a
isn't it?
YouthWorks issue.
Mm. Yeah, right. What was I going to say? I like lasagna. That's what one thing I was going to say.
I would,
If you
I would
wonder-
like that. I would like that.
Lasagna
publicly
is a
stated.
wonderful thing. It's
Yes.
it's
just too much of a good thing
Too much
of a
can
good
become a
thing.
problem.
Yes.
Mm. That's
it's
what
very
people.
sagey podcast.
That's
Yeah.
that's what people say about me being on this podcast. Too much of a good thing. Jeremy,
yes,
how do you like to eat your hot chips?
a bit split.
Ooh.
I like if I'm having just chips, chicken salt.
Yes.
If I'm having anything on them apart from salt, then I like plain salt.
Okay.
But what would you have on them? What's like the
Anything, tomato
anything?
sauce,
Yeah.
mayonnaise, gravy,
Oh.
whole halal snack pack.
Yes.
You're agnostic to your chips additions.
Mm.
You don't mind what you have.
Sorry, what?
You don't mind what you have on top of it.
I do not mind.
Mm.
It's like salt, like the whole salt and vinegar thing. I've started to do that every now and again. It's like I get it.
Salt
Yeah.
and vinegar on
It's,
hot
it's,
chips.
it's kind of sick.
Yes. Yeah. It is very good.
Because I've had salt and vinegar crisps.
Yes.
I used to hate salt and vinegar crisps,
Ah.
and now
Yeah.
now it's like okay, I do really like them.
The
They're
vinegar
kinda
on
cool.
chips is like the very English thing.
Yeah.
Bev's
Heaps of,
podcast.
yep. And heaps of
Definitely.
people
A
that
few
have
other
English
people.
background
Yeah.
will say they like the vinegar.
Yes.
Got a very Scottish background with that.
Yeah.
It's like my middle name is Stuart, and that comes from the Stuarts of Scotland who used to sell out the Scottish to the English.
In what way? What did they?
Oh, because they were like because Scotland was its own kingdom, and they
Yeah.
were the ones who were ruling Scotland for England.
Ah.
Oh, like so they were like a proxy.
Yeah,
I see.
they were stewarding it,
Oh,
something like that.
is that where it comes
I
from?
don't know, probably.
We'll do that. We'll say that.
Yeah. Ancestry.com podcast.
Well,
Jeremy, this is your life.
you really are on the fence there on the salt debate, but that's okay.
Mm.
Mm.
It's just everything has its moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did
Everything has
you
its
have
place.
a local hot chip shop growing up? Did you have a regular haunt?
Yeah, the fish and chip shop up at Loftus. The owners have recently moved on in like the last year, and so
Yeah.
there's a new group there. But it's like, you know, it's that they were there forever. They were a young Christian Vietnamese couple, and
Really?
sort of got to know them, and they got to know me as I grew up. And it's
That's
that weird
cool.
little, I don't know, a weird relationship I wouldn't have thought about until I caught up with them recently. It's like, oh, hey,
Yeah.
You made chips for me.
yeah. It's like I really appreciate it.
Where
Yeah.
did you see them recently?
They were sort of coming back because it's sort of thing. So Loftus is a suburb.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. But it's a very small suburb, and so it's only got
Yeah.
about 4,000 people, and so they've got a little Facebook group, and everyone sort of talks on it, and
Yes.
I know talks about little small town thing. What's that helicopter? Who? There was a bang. What was that? But yeah, it's like they were sort of coming back in town once they were sort of packing everything up, and a few people went up there and said hello, goodbye, thank you.
Oh, that's nice.
I was
Yeah.
in the area.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Speaking of Loftus, I think it's a real like desolate train station. Do you agree with that?
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
I've picked people up there multiple times who have been on the wrong line, and they were like, sometimes just by chance, and it's like I'm like, I know that person, and they're not
Yeah.
meant to be here.
Oh, because they've stayed on the train too long.
Yeah.
After, yeah.
Yeah.
They thought they were going up to Kirui or something, and they end up at Loftus.
I just
Yeah.
appreciate a nice train station. I don't feel they've put much effort into Loftus. And I feel
Oh,
like it's nice. It's got the TAFE there.
it's got a good view
Okay. From the
Okay.
bridge.
from the bridge.
Oof. Well, they keep the bridge.
Mm.
Just make it look nicer. Gotta make the whole thing look nicer. You know, you wanted your train experience to be. Why would you prefer it over a car? And Loftus train station makes me want to drive.
It's
Wow.
maybe that's the reason I like driving. It's like I feel like the pros of it. It feels like that little country sort of town station,
Does a bit. Yep.
which makes you feel like that you are away from the world. It's when I did TAFE, and you had people, we started doing TAFE at Loftus, and then we went into Randwick. And when we were in at Randwick, the teachers would call going to Loftus going out to the country. It's like it's not that country, guys.
They just need to cut the grass at the train station. That's all
they
they
do
need
need
to
to cut the grass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's always long.
Mm.
Just make it a bit tidier, guys, at least. Anyway, moving on. Jeremy,
Yes.
second question that we ask on this podcast is, how did you become a Christian?
I have always been a Christian in some degree or another. I feel like, so mum's a Christian, dad's a Christian, and grandma's a Christian. And so we all, I guess it starts with grandma, right? It's like grandma got asked at one point to come along to Sylvania Anglican Church because she was a doctor, and they needed somebody who could read for Sunday school teaching. So grandma wasn't a Christian, but she started teaching Sunday school because that was the culture at the time.
Yeah, okay.
And through teaching Sunday school, she became a Christian. That happened. She got married, lovely, whatever it is. It's Valentine's Day today, so this is the Valentine's Day portion.
I should have said that. Happy Valentine's Day to you guys.
Day.
Oh, thank you.
The singlest man. Bring you Valentine's Day.
I didn't mean to highlight that.
Oh.
Not intentionally. Sorry.
Yeah, mum grew up there at Sylvania. Dad came along at some point. He wasn't Christian, and he became Christian. It's not what I would necessarily recommend, but it worked.
Yeah.
Then I grew up there, and so I've grown up in a Christian household. I've grown up going to Sylvania. I've had like bits and pieces. I remember that sort of like big click moments of like, I remember being on a church camp and seeing, like being quite young and seeing one of the guys at church just praying really, really enthusiastically and like happily, just off to the side, not trying to draw attention to himself, and being like, oh, it's like, you're not just being like, dear God, blah, 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 amen.
Yeah.
It's like he's actually enjoying it and he's loving doing it. And
He's
it's like,
living it out.
yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. It's like bits and pieces in high school, like year 7 started, and I was sort of being like, I cannot go to church. That's cool. I remember trying to sneak out of church like the first time and being grabbed and being like, hey, do you want to come do Sunday school, like teaching? I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. And sort of that growing experience with like other leaders there was really cool, because it's like, it's like, you're all really keen to do this. Maybe I should be keen to do this too. And then I did that for ages, teaching Sunday school for ages in one way or another. I taught Rob.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like, that was one of those things where it only came up later, and I'm like, I do remember you.
This is Rob Daniel?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Which maybe I didn't love him as much then as I should have, but it's all about learning.
Now, do you think
I love Rob now.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's a dear sweetheart.
The dearest sweetheart of them all.
He is.
Yeah.
Coming out of high school is sort of like, I remember doing a camp up at Katoomba called Next Gen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, that was a massive, just like, I am actually really, really keen to not just do like, just to go along with it, but I'm actually keen to teach, and I'm keen to learn. I'm keen to learn how to do it well.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, this is actually, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. And teaching, and kids are really interesting. And man, youth are so interesting.
Yeah.
They're a lot of fun.
They are.
And so it's like that, it was all these little moments that all happened in life that were like, just, I don't know, little moments of growth. So it's like, I'd say I've always been a Christian, but there's been a lot of growing moments. They're still happening, thankfully. Sometimes quite brutally, but like sometimes just nicely.
Yeah, cool. And so let's rewind a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you skipped ahead, which is fine. But so you're growing up in Loftus, is that right? You're going to Sylvania Anglican Church?
Yes.
So what school, where are you going to school?
That's complicated.
Oh.
So I did 5 years going to Sutherland Shire Christian,
Yep.
now Shire Christian.
Yep.
so much more bogan. When my older brother was in year 3, he was getting absolutely picked on, and like
Oh no.
by students, by teachers a bit too, but that's not to get too much into that.
Mm-hmm.
And so mum tried a few different things and then started homeschooling him. Then when I finished year 4, she was like, hey, do you want to be home all day? I'm like, yeah, all right. So I got homeschooled until year 11. Then I went back to Sutherland Shire Christian to do my HSC.
Right.
There's a little bit of TAFE in there too, but that's pretty much it.
So this is a topic I'd be very interested in.
Yes.
Homeschooling.
Yes.
Like, tell me more about this. What are the benefits, you think, and what are the downsides maybe?
So like I'm very on the fence with homeschooling. But it's like I think I probably would have enjoyed school a bit more, but also I think homeschooling saved my brother's life. Like he got picked on pretty nasty. He asked for it a bit. I feel like I can say that. I'm his younger brother. So I know what it's like. But he couldn't help asking for it. It's just his personality. And it got to like such a severe point where he was severely depressed as a year 3 kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like after mum's tried a few different things, homeschooling let him slow right down and like slow his development down to a point where he could like take its time. And so, maybe he can't compete as well as the average kid in his class, but he was a lot happier. And that slowdown was good. And then he could actually catch up in various ways. Maybe not catch up in other ways as much, but he could exceed in some ways as well. And so he's been homeschooled. I've got 2 younger sisters who...
I was going to ask you, have you got more siblings?
So my little brother is 30. I'm 28.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a 20-year-old sister and a 15-year-old sister. Well planned.
I was going to say, that's quite a big gap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. I know.
For you? Or for your parents?
I spent a lot of time looking after my sisters
Okay, yeah.
and my brother.
Especially when there's a big gap of...
Yeah.
Yep.
Mum's a superstar. And so there's all that too. And so it's like, I feel like the benefit is that you're able to slow down when you need to slow down. Yeah. You're able to speed up when you're wanting to speed up.
Yeah.
It's like my brother's also a bit of a genius as well. So there's areas he can speed up on and just be a nerd in and not get picked on for being a nerd in it.
Yeah.
And then there's other areas. So it's like my younger sister maybe has a few things she's not as good on, but her art is just excelling. And like the older of the younger sisters, she is just a genius at ballet. Like she's doing a performance in a week or 2, which is like, it's just her thing now.
Yeah.
Good singing voice, good ballet. She's all over it.
Oh, is she a triple threat? What is it? Dancing, singing, and
Acting.
Acting?
Oh yeah. Triple threat.
Triple threat. Definitely triple threat.
No, she's fantastic.
Mm.
So yeah, it's that you're able to slow down. I feel like, you still get catch up with people, but it's not like an everyday thing. You're not with your friends every single day, which is like, it's one of those things where maybe I would have enjoyed that. Then also I enjoy not spending time with people as well now. So, who knows? It's just a thing where it's like, it could have been different and I would have been a different person.
But I suppose you're not at the behest of like a large class. Yeah. And also you can move the curriculum around a bit more as well compared to, if it's a class of 30 in primary school, they have to...
Yeah, you have to learn one thing.
Yeah, and they have to get through it all, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's just, I read a lot. I read a lot and I stopped reading and now I've started reading again. And so that was good at the time. And yeah, there's definitely some things where it's like, oh man, I wish I understood how to do algebra a bit better. But then chances are if I'd gone through high school, I'd also be doing the same thing.
Yeah.
What did because it's so foreign to me as a concept, what did the rhythm of a day homeschooling look like?
It was, you got a chunk of work to get through.
Yep.
You can do it all at 8:30 in the morning and get it done in like an hour, or you can take you all day.
Yeah.
This sounds like COVID lockdowns.
Yes.
When I had my kids, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like that.
Yeah.
But like even less structured than that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you you sort of like, you've got a homeschool authority who's making sure that you're not just being neglected or abused. And so you're sort of spending your time being like, how can we check all the boxes for them as well?
Yeah.
And so it might be making sure that you're getting the basics. So it's like maths, English, and history or something. And then everything else can sort of get slipped in there. So, I did soccer, that sort of sports. I did, any bit of cooking you do, you put that down as chemistry.
What do you think it gave you that perhaps someone that goes to a normal school didn't get?
I don't know.
Yeah, because you probably didn't do the other way, really. Or you did a little bit.
I did a bit of both. And then I've got siblings who have done one. And it would be helpful if I had a sibling who just did school, but I don't have that focus group. Maybe a bit of patience in some areas. Maybe I know at first I was a bit better at talking to adults than a lot of my peers, because you do spend a lot of time talking to adults, and that's just normal. And there's not that many people your own age to hang out with, so you hang out with older people and you just talk to them and learn what they're doing, and I feel like and so it's one of those things where it's like I think what I lost was that being able to talk to my own peers a bit better as well. That took a bit to catch up on. I had a good mate in year 11 who would absolutely call me out on like when I would say dumb things and just assume they'd know what I mean, and he'd be like, "No, you're being an idiot." I'm like, okay,
that's kind of good though.
Yeah. No, he was a good guy. But it's like, he would be really, really blunt, and like, okay, that's really helpful.
Like what? Give us an example.
It'd be like, because I've grown up with my brother, and so you get to the point where you can start doing like half jokes with each other, and they'd tell the rest of the joke, and you start doing that in conversation, and be like, dude, what do you even say? I'm like, I don't know what I'm saying. It's like, I might not actually be saying anything. I think I'm just rambling for the sake of rambling.
Do you think that being homeschooled and taken out of that social environment made church relationships more important?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, I think, because I definitely really looked forward to church.
Yeah.
Except for like that one period in year 7 when it's like, I cannot be here. That's cool.
Yeah.
But that was also like, I hadn't really made friends in church yet. It was sort of like.
Was that like a parent rule or something that you didn't have to go to church once you were in high school, or?
Yeah, it was somewhat like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Mum has never like forced me to be a church man.
Yeah.
That's just sort of come along. So it's like my older brother doesn't church outside of Christmas and Easter. And so that's his decision.
Yeah, yeah.
Some my younger sisters do. That's definitely the older one's decision, and the younger one, I think she's pretty set.
Yeah, so it's just the thing the family did, and so yeah.
Tell us about though why you said before you wanted to sneak out of church at that time. Why was that? Just because you could?
Bored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was sort of the thing where it's like we hadn't quite worked like at Sylvania. At Sylvania at the time, we didn't have a youth group. We didn't really have that group of older people. It's like they sort of all had shifted off a few years prior. And so finishing Sunday school, it's like, well, now I'm just here sitting in church in the morning, on a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
It was just like, well, cool. I think I'm kind of Christian, but like, what is this guy even talking about? He's reading Amos. Cool.
Yeah. What time is church then? Is it that 9:30 time? Because I find
I think it was 9 at the time, or maybe it was 9:30. So we sort of like it became later at one point. So now it's 8 and 10. So 8 for the oldies, 10 for the families.
Yeah, right.
And 6. I hadn't thought about 6 yet. That's what adults did. But yeah, I think it was a little bit earlier. So it was just a bit of a time of being like, oh, okay, why am I here? What's the point? And even the Sunday school thing, that was an absolute coincidence of me walking out just at the moment that other people were walking through, and they're being like, oh, are you doing this? And it's being like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And so it's like, started doing that. Gave me a little bit of a purpose in the morning, which was
like your grandma.
Yeah. What?
I was just like your grandma. I thought that was like, because she started teaching Sunday school, right?
Yeah. And so it's one of those things, because it's the sort of thing where it's like, I don't know if I would recommend that same treatment for other people.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't be like, that person's not a Christian. grab them to go teach.
Getting them to teach the kids
Yeah.
about Jesus.
I think like we had a kids minister at the time, like Linda Greenwood. She's fantastic. She was really, really good at like not just teaching the kids, but like teaching us to teach them, but also growing us as well.
Yeah, cool.
So it was a good environment for me to be in at the time.
Yeah, what do you think you learnt from doing Sunday school?
I feel like I learned a lot about leading, a lot about how hard that can be, but also like just how much fun it can be. And like you could seeing kids grow and like seeing them actually pick up on things, and like the ones who spend their time scrolling on the couch in the background not paying attention the whole time, they're actually picking up things, and they can come back and be like, oh yeah, it's like you said this. I'm like, did I? How do you remember that?
Yeah, because I didn't think you were paying attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's the whole. I learned a lot about like God really works in ways when you're not expecting Him to be.
Yeah.
And maybe I should raise my expectations for God.
Yeah, that's cool. But similar to youth, right? You can have kids that keep coming at least, but you're like, oh, they're not paying attention.
Yeah.
But then just it's about the relationship that you've got, I think.
And so that's one of those things where it's taken me ages to work that out, like in various forms, and doing it through youth, and sometimes not seeing the fruit of it till 13 years later, 14 years later. It's like, it does happen. And it's like, that's cool.
Yeah. But you had no youth group at the time as you got older at church,
No.
you said.
So yeah, we started the youth group coming through.
Sick.
It's like there was about 5 of us.
As a leader?
No. So
you
coming
were
through,
just-
I was a kid coming up.
Okay.
Got it.
So coming up, did that for 6 years. That was high school, and then became a leader for 10 years there.
10 years.
Yeah.
Sick.
Cool. So they started youth when you were in year
Yeah.
7 or year 8?
Year
or
7.
something? Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe year 8. Probably year 7.
Do you even have years in homeschooling? Is that done differently?
Still got to follow it all.
Yeah.
It's sort of part of the reason I actually went back and did my HSC at school was because I was too young, even though I'm in my age group.
Yeah.
And so from year 10 to year 11, I wanted to do my HSC at TAFE. But I was too young to go to TAFE for whatever reason.
Oh, I didn't know you could do your HSC at TAFE.
Yeah, you can.
Oh,
Okay.
Cool.
I did a little bit of it at TAFE.
Okay.
It's like my grandfather did at TAFE when he was like 60.
Oh, really? His HSC?
Yeah.
Wow.
'Cause he had to leave school at like 12 to go
Yeah.
work in the blacksmith and all that
Yeah.
all that old timey stuff. That's cool.
Yeah, I had a friend who left school in year 10, but then decided to go back and do it when we were like in our early 20s.
I didn't know you could do it at TAFE.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and so it's like I know where I was up to. HSC school.
HSC, TAFE, school, homeschool.
I don't know.
How was the shift going back into school in year 11?
I definitely felt unprepared.
Yeah.
Oh,
And so I feel like that was the hardest thing. So it's like there's things I could get on top of. And there's things I was like really, really keen to learn. I feel like year 11, you're starting to speed up.
Yeah.
So it's like probably would have preferred to do it in year 10
Yeah.
because there was so much I was learning that year. I'm like, this is so interesting. But while I'm doing that, it's like, well, my grades aren't going all that great. So, that's fine. I'm glad I did it because there was a lot I learned from doing it.
Yeah.
But
would have taken some time
probably
to
would have been
adjust.
smart to do it in year 10.
Oh, okay.
But it is what it is.
Yeah. How was, like you said, church relationships were obviously became a little more important because you didn't have, just because of not having those school relationships that weren't sibling relationships. How was youth group then part of that as that started up?
Yeah, look, it just meant that youth group was really important. And so it was a focal part of the week. It was just something I was keen to do every week.
Friday night?
Friday night.
Yeah.
Friday night, Sunday afternoon Bible study.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. And so it's like you're just really, really keen to get involved with it and get involved with other bits of church.
Yeah.
It's like, I think I've always been someone involved. So even before that, I was doing music at church from like year 2 in one way or another.
Oh yeah.
Really? What were you doing?
Doing guitar.
Yeah.
Unplugged.
Really?
I'm sure I was sounding great. It's just 4 chords. You're fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
that's cool.
like properly getting into it more in year 7.
Yeah.
Doing plugged in now.
Oh, they plugged you in then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it just made it so that church was like, I am really keen to be here. I'm really keen to see these people.
Yeah. And you're like involved.
You're serving as well.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know.
Where are we going with this? I can't remember where you were taking us.
Oh, I was
Braden.
talking about youth group.
Oh, youth group.
Like,
that's
so
right.
was
youth
it
group.
smaller when it started?
Yes. So it's about 5 of us.
Yeah.
What
What did youth group look like with the 5 of you?
It was a lot of just sort of us working out what we wanted to do for ages, and then we go read the Bible, do a Bible study.
Yeah.
It's the youth minister or the assistant minister was sort of running it with us, and a couple of other leaders. So it's like we had him, we had Susie Yock, who she's an art teacher at Christian school, but it's like she was doing it for ages, and we had Les Spratt, who is just an old timer, so he was about in his 70s or 80s. He absolute blast.
Yeah.
Sorry, Les, if you're younger than that, or if you were younger than that.
Shout out to Les.
Yeah.
Shout out to Les. He is an absolute legend. But it was that and whatever student ministers came along.
Yeah.
They're all legends too. And that didn't grow a lot for the first few years, but the kids group, so the people who were younger than high school, they were growing a lot. And so they sort of came up into the youth group, and that's when it started to really explode.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of, for us, it was a lot of kicking a ball against the wall and just sort of doing whatever we sort of wanted. And then once we started to get out of high school, so it's like straight out of high school, I was doing youth leading.
Yeah.
And sort of jumping in there, and I don't know, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Is there a moment in that time within youth group where I'm trying to find those moments where you said, yes, I am a Christian. Like, is there a decision that you made, or you go, well, I'm not going to do that because, no, I don't think God wants me to do that?
I feel like I definitely, there was never a moment being like, yes, I'm a Christian. Like, even I got confirmed, and that was just very much like, oh, well, that's the thing to do.
That's what you do.
Yeah. Just one of those things, like I see the confirmations now, I'm like, that's so exciting. It's like, and it's exciting, and it's something I wasn't excited about.
Yeah.
But there was never a real click moment. There was a lot of, I can't do this on a Friday night. I've got youth. That's the priority.
Yeah.
Like that's just, you just do that. There's no other choice. Instead of hanging out with like other, like other homeschoolers, I have friends outside of homeschooling youth, soccer friends.
Yeah.
Instead of hanging out with them on a Friday night, it's like, oh no, I'm doing youth. That's just the thing. It's one of those things where it's like, you sort of feel a bit down every now and again, because it's like, this is where the chunk of my friends are. It's really hard to ask other people who are out, like, to come to youth.
Yeah.
It would happen every now and again, but it's like, there's all these people who go to public schools and they get to ask people nonstop. I'm like, I feel really bad because I don't get to do that.
Yeah.
But, you'd have little moments like that all throughout. And they'd be just little things that I think that just kept sustaining the faith until I got to, I feel like the first big clicks of, I'm a Christian. This is what I do, is doing, I was saying before, next gen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was that was probably the first time I saw a big amount of Christians. It was like 400.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the uninitiated, what is next gen?
It's like, it was massive because it's that, and it's all church ministers who are running like the groups in it.
Yeah.
And that to me was like, oh wow, this is so intense and cool, and these people are all keen. And it's like, next gen is very like LIT in a lot of ways, but I feel like where it had the upper hand is that you've got about half and half city and country.
Yeah.
And so you'd have people from all over country New South Wales and country Queensland and country Victoria. I remember meeting a group from like the highlands of Tasmania. And so it's like, I feel like that's where that would excel that little bit more.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's that being like this first time I'm really getting to meet Christians from all over Australia. Wow, this is so much bigger than what it felt like.
Yeah.
It's bigger than the 5 of us kicking a ball against the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And so you go like there's more of us out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so next gen, it's up at the Katoomba Convention Centre, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So how many people are there?
The next gen, 400.
Oh, you said 400
yeah.
before.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a couple of weeks. They stopped doing it recently. It's expensive. It costs them money,
Yeah.
but it's good stuff.
Yeah.
I did the band once.
Yeah.
That was the
did
only
you?
one I went.
You have Humphreys.
No, I bet Dan Gale ran the band. It was very fun.
That's where I met Dan Gale.
Yeah.
There you go. And how long did it go? Did you say 2 weeks it went for?
Oh, sorry, over 2. So it's a 1-week conference.
Oh, and you did
There would be 2 sessions.
2 lots. Yeah. Okay.
So once I finished doing going through the courses there, I just kept volunteering for it. So I sometimes do 2 weeks of it.
Okay. That's cool.
Good fun.
So if you're finishing high school,
Yeah.
you did it at Shire Christian School,
Did it shy.
and you're still doing youth group.
Still doing youth group.
What are you kind of looking at doing when you finish school, and like what's shaping your thoughts around that at that time?
My thoughts at that time was I am sick of studying. I don't want to study anymore. And so I became a butcher
Oh,
for a few years.
did you?
Yeah.
Tell us about this.
So
I didn't know
if you know Stapleton's Qualities Meat,
I do.
but not the Gymea one, the one at Sylvania Sutherland.
Yep.
Because they're two. The Gymea one's the family, and the one at Sylvania Sutherland own the name.
Ah,
It's weird little politics.
that is weird.
Anyway, the one at Sylvania I was working at. And so I was somewhat training up, somewhat an assistant. There was a bit of a weird sort of dynamic where I was not properly being trained, but I was. I don't know. I was a dumb kid looking for work.
How did you get into that? Like, how did?
How did you want to do it? Yeah.
gave
Oh,
them a CV, and they were like, "Yep, you're in."
Oh, sick.
Oh,
Yeah.
we need a butcher,
Yeah.
assistant butcher.
I've almost never had to actually look for work. It's just sort of happened. And so I feel like I've only ever had one failed interview, and I was sick, and I really thought it was a terrible interview.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just sort of like I tried a couple of places putting in a CV, and they were like, "Yeah, right." I was like, "Sick." I didn't know that's what I wanted to do, but I'll do it. I've done lots of hospitality. I like cooking.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I love cooking.
Oh,
It's good fun.
okay. We're gonna have to come back to that, but I want to
Oh,
hear
yes.
about what is it like. The reason I'm interested, right,
Hmm.
is that my wife. Well, she wasn't my wife at the time, but when we were going out, she had a thing with a friend. Is like, what's the worst job your partner could have? And one was butcher, and the other one was a garbage man. And I'm like, that's a bit harsh.
I feel like
I think it's more the smell than
I
anything
feel like
else.
a garbage man gets paid really well, so you got to
Yeah.
get well
Does
looked
it?
after.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a butcher doesn't get paid really well, but it just smells of meat.
Yeah. I'm like fishmonger.
Yeah,
Oh, that's got to be worse.
I feel like that's funkier.
We were
Yeah.
talking about Asterix before, though, Jeremy. What's the fishmonger's name in Asterix? I'm trying to remember.
I don't know. He's always got rotten fish.
Yeah, and he's slapping people with fishes.
Yeah,
There you go.
We'll keep thinking about it.
I'm back. We can circle around.
But
Chuck
yeah,
in
we'll
the
circle
comments.
back around. So did you like butchery?
Yes. Yeah, it was a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was fun. It was really interesting because it was sort of like it's my first experience like selling a product
Mm.
to someone. And so that was really interesting and sort of being like, they try and bargain with you and you have to sit there being like, no.
Oh, like try and get cheaper prices.
Yeah. But it's also like you're learning your way around a carcass. You're learning how to cut things up. You're learning how to make sausages and how to make mince. And
Yeah.
that was all really, really, I don't know. It was just an interesting job. I feel like any job can be really interesting if you're willing to learn it. And so almost any job.
See, I think I reckon that's a homeschool thing
Yeah.
that you're saying there, which is cool. I think that's a cool thing. You're like, yeah, well, we'll learn that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I probably would keep doing it. Or maybe not. I have had a habit of getting bored of jobs after 2 years. So maybe not. But the reason I stopped doing it was I got really sick. Probably from a preservative that we're using that we probably shouldn't have been using.
Oh.
Where it's fine once you eat it and cook it and all that, but in large concentrated dosages, it's quite toxic.
Really?
So I was quite sick for a long time.
Did it take you a while to figure out why you were sick?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And I still don't know why.
Yeah.
Oh, really? So how did it manifest? Like, how did that happen?
So that was just, it was just like, so what I think, it could be a few things. It could be that, it could be like a tapeworm from China. It could be a whole lot of things.
Goodness.
Yeah.
We think it might be that because it was this large bottle of some sodium, et cetera, nitrate, that you smell it and it smells like blood and it smells putrid.
Mm.
Like it smells like your insides are melting, that sort of horrible nastiness.
Who is this?
But it's like, whatever it was like, it left my throat really not happy. Like really, like it's always got something in there. Something's always lodged in there. And then that really, really weak gut. And like, so when it comes back to youth, I never did the food nights. I never did the gross food things.
Yeah.
It's like, I was always away from that because I just couldn't
do it.
Yeah. That's like my one thing I would never do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's sort of like, it left that sort of all really unhappy and unwell. And I had to sort of try, I stopped working for a while. Mum and Dad were very gracious with that. And like on the flip side, I spent a lot of time cooking and cleaning at home. So I'd be cooking every day for the family and learning how to do that. Because you start cooking for what you want to cook them. And then after a while, you're like, oh, they've stopped being nice about like me putting tons of chili into their food. So maybe I'll dial it back.
Oh, it's not spicy at all.
Yeah.
They're like, then they just stop.
3 weeks in, it's like, Jerry.
Yeah. So yeah, it was that. Yeah, again, that was interesting too because it's like you learn to dial things back and you learn what different people want to eat and like you can make people quite happy if you pull a certain thing out on a day where they're quite unhappy. Well, that was
Yeah.
So butchering was interesting, but obviously it wasn't for me.
Yeah, we had a little experiment the other night at late night.
Yeah, that didn't go well.
Javish found out that you, in a former life, used to be a butcher, and we made sausages.
Late night.
Sausages were they
Sausage
looked
night.
great.
Yeah, they did. They looked fantastic.
They
Before they were cooked or after they were cooked?
before they were cooked.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like I didn't soak the skins long enough.
Okay.
Like way not long enough, and probably the meat got a bit too grinded, so it was really grainy.
Yeah.
And the skins just kept falling apart, but it was still chewy.
Okay.
Yeah. But it was a fun journey.
A learning
Fun
experience.
journey.
Yeah, and everyone got quite excited.
I
which
want to
was
do it
fun
again.
as well.
I really want to do it
I
again.
think Jabish would be keen to do it again.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's fun.
So did your love of cooking come before you were a butcher or after you were a butcher?
Before. It's like I spent a lot of time at grandma's between like with the homeschooling.
Yeah.
And she taught me to cook and mum taught me to cook in different ways.
That's cool.
It's like grandma was very particular about what I cooked as well. So it's like it had to be done right and it had to be done properly. And so that was extremely frustrating, but also I learned to cook really well. So, it'd be things like I'd be making, I don't know, the one that always really bothered me was I made like a carrot cake.
Yeah.
And I did the carrots in like long strands and grandma was not happy and just like, I'm not eating that. I'm like, oh, okay. And so
How do you do that in a cake though? Long strands of carrot.
I don't know. I was just grating a carrot.
You just you're just experimenting.
Well, you're just grating a carrot. It's probably a bit experimenting. But yeah, it was that sort of thing where it's like, okay, that was really annoying. I still remember it, but it was that sort of particular, like, you got to do this properly.
Yeah, it's like working under a really like tough chef.
Yeah. And grandma was quite the chef. Like she was always cooking for church. She was always cooking for one thing or another. The Mitchell cakes are well known around Sylvania.
Mitchell cakes.
So I guess it's like that shift of thinking about cooking for yourself and what you want to do and cooking for other people.
Yeah.
Which is what you were saying about the chili.
Yeah.
If Brandon and I come around for dinner, what are you cooking us? Like if you could do anything, like cost doesn't matter. What are you going to cook?
Cost doesn't matter. I do love to do a duck.
Ooh.
Oh.
I know. I've been playing around with like you get like frozen bao buns, and then you make like a little pickle for like cucumbers and carrots, and you do like bao buns. But I've been doing like you get the pork already done from Coles or Woolies, and then you just do that and you char siu it by like putting in the sauce and then like frying it a bit.
Ooh.
So I don't know, maybe I'll do that. I do a roast dinner. I love a roast dinner.
Yeah. Yum.
I don't know.
What you got any hot tips? I always like to pick up some tips from people that are better than me at stuff.
Boil your potatoes before you roast them.
Yeah. Because it's like that makes it soft on the inside, crispy on the outside. Yeah, okay.
But you can also get a same but slightly different effect by just a really, really long slow roast. Okay. It's just time for a lot of those things.
Yeah.
Like I go back and forwards between whether or not when I'm doing roast pork, do I cook the skin first and then do the rest of the pork, or do you cook the pork and then do the rest of the skin?
Yeah.
I think the first one is the best way to do it.
Right.
Yeah. Brussels. Just roast Brussels. They're fantastic. I don't know why. There's real distaste on sprouts. I love sprouts.
You know the one that my wife's done is cooking, like baking them in the oven, Brussels sprouts in coconut oil and salt.
Okay.
It's really good.
I think a lot of that distaste for those type of vegetables comes from
how they were
the
cooked.
English.
Yeah.
I love my dad, but he would literally just put them in the microwave.
Yeah.
And pull it out.
Yeah.
It's like, I wonder why we hate this.
Yeah. I remember having a
It's a
discussion.
soggy mess.
Yeah. I remember having a discussion with Michael Gray, a similar thing. And Michael Gray is a former Soli's alumni.
Yes.
But also an amazing cook as well. And we had the same discussion. It's like a lot of the reasons we don't like some of the foods that we're supposed to enjoy is because they're just cooked really badly.
On a side note, is Michael Gray's different from Michael Greaves?
Yes.
They are two different. Okay. I've heard those names interchangeably, and I always thought people were talking about Greaves the whole time.
No, they are different people.
Okay.
Yes, very different people.
Very different people, that's true.
Yeah, I feel like as well, it's like partly meanly, but also, she was doing it out of love. It's like when we grew up, Mum was a good cook if she had time for it, but also mums often don't have time for it.
No.
So I feel like I remember one too many crumbed veal cutlets that were absolutely rock solid. And so it's like, it was, you take on, it's like, I want to cook a bit more. Maybe I want to do things my own way.
I think this veal cutlet a little bit softer. I think you're right though. And I think I actually enjoy cooking, but I only like it when I have time to do it. If it's on, like, the pressure's on to get dinner out, I don't enjoy it as much.
Which is like, I've really enjoyed lately just working out, can I do this really quickly?
Okay.
It's like, because I do take my time with things, just everything. And so now when I'm doing meals, I'm like, how quickly can I do this?
You need like a pressure cooker or whatever.
Yeah. It just, I feel like that's where the challenge is now. It's like, can I get this done really quickly? Can I get this done whilst I'm making something else? It's a few, yeah.
Have you ever thought about being a chef then?
Chefs live horrible lives.
Yeah, they do. They're always smoking and it's just tough ass.
It's
Remember
crazy hours.
Yeah, it was when we talked to Stu Ryan.
Yeah.
As well on this point. He used to be a chef, a similar thing. It was just, they do have some tough. Maybe you could do like a home cooked meals service or something.
Ooh, maybe.
Anyway.
That might be the trick.
I just like hearing about how people enjoy doing stuff.
I feel like I don't know if I'd get bored but then chefs move around a lot, so maybe I should have been a chef. I'll work on that.
So you a butcher.
Yeah.
Then you've got to stay home for a while because you're unwell. When do you go to TAFE?
It started with, it was sort of like, well, I've been home for like nearly a year at that point, and I'm still not quite getting better. So it's like, okay, what's something that I could do at home that, what's something I can do at home that might not be the hardest thing? Because it's like one of the hardest things was getting up in the morning. Yeah. Because it's like that my stomach would just absolutely like cramp up and I'd just feel gross. And I still do. It's like waking up in the morning sucks. I don't know why you guys do it.
I don't. Voluntarily.
But
I just have moths.
But so I was sort of trying to work out what to do. And it's like I've always really, really liked film and movies and that sort of stuff. And so it's like, I'll do a couple of little courses on that. And then for a year I studied at AFTRS, which is like the Australian Film, Television, Radio School in like screenwriting of all things.
Really?
Which, that was a bit out there. Not something I thought I'd be studying, but it was, at the very least, it was just keeping me moving and it was keeping me doing something. And it was really, really interesting. So I did that for a year. And then once that was done, it's like, okay, well, do I feel like I could write a script? It's like, maybe not. But then I thought, okay, went back and forwards. We've got a friend at Sylvania he's like a producer for Studio Canal.
Oh, yeah.
I hope.
We'll say that.
It's something like that.
Yeah.
But it's like part of his job is he selects movies that come to Australia for them. And so he was sort of being like, yeah, don't study for too long, but try doing this. So I went to TAFE and I did a film course through TAFE, where it's sort of like all the background stuff, all the behind the scenes cameras and lights, and like none of the acting stuff. It's just the producing part.
Yeah.
And that started at Loftus because they were starting it up at Loftus. So that was really convenient.
Yeah.
So I did a Cert 4 at Loftus, and then I did a diploma and advanced diploma up at Randwick TAFE. That finished in COVID. And so
the film industry
was going so well.
So when I did the diploma, the lead actor dropped out, and here's another can of worms, dropped out in the last week. And because I'd previously done acting throughout high school, one way or another, I was like, yeah, I could probably do that. And so I did the acting role for them. And so then when it came around to doing the advanced diploma, they were like, oh, you did that for us. So how about it's your turn? You can go and direct the short film we'll make. So I got to direct a short film. And that was really interesting, but also throughout COVID, and it's like having people drop out last minute was just stressful. I'm like, I really like doing this, but I'm just not ready for this right now.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, time to shift again and do a different career. And that's when I started working for YouthWorks.
We are continuing to split up the episodes into 2 parts. Part 2 coming out next week.